Dari, hello, it is March 2023 and we are looking at the unboxing and then a little mini review of the Wavlink USB-C to SATA adapter. Now, the backstory is that I have now changed most of my computer devices to have USB-C interfaces, and I will say working USB-C interfaces as opposed to the kind that are advertised but don't often connect at the right speed. So with this increasingly up-to-date technology, I wanted to invest in a better way to read 2.5-inch disk drives, and that's what this little device in front is going to do for me. I did lots of reviewing and this was apparently the best. So let's unbox this device. So it's very simple, it's very small. That's the size of a Leatherman. So you see how small the box is and the device is going to be. Inside the box we have a box, a quick start guide from Wavlink. On the back we've got some information about compliancy, and it's going to work with Windows, OS 9, Linux, Chrome OS, so it should work with absolutely everything. Okay, the instructions, don't electrocute yourself, that kind of thing. Plug it in, warning. Don't use too much force. Okay, and the device itself, which is here. Very nice, very nice. And yes, here we have it. So it is a USB-C device to a SATA interface. Now, that is part one of the review, which is the unboxing. Okay, in part two, we're going to discuss the USB-C interface. I'd just like to point out that the spec was defined in something like 2014. And the USB-C interface is, its best feature, if you like, apart from the increase in speed, is its reversibility. And if you remember, Apple introduced its Lightning interface in 2012. And it's been a bone of contention for kind of non-Apple users that we've not had a reversible standard interface, but then in 2014 we got one. So you might have expected the industry to just fall over themselves to implement this device on every flipping bit of electronics possible that was not made by Apple, in order to provide a competitive advantage to devices with a Lightning connector. But no, and I would point out that Apple were indeed the first people, one of the first people to implement USB-C interfaces on their laptop. So in 2015, I think it was the 12-inch MacBook had a USB-C charging interface and USB-C interfaces in general, and the rest of the Microsoft-derived laptop world have really not kept up with, ironically, Apple, who then have laptops with USB-C and phones with Lightning. So the USB-C interface has not been widely adopted in the phone world, as I would really have expected it to be. And Apple, ironically, are the people who have most gone for the USB-C interface. Here is a MacBook Air M2, and you'll see we have got proprietary charging interface and 2 USB-C interfaces. No USB Type A interfaces whatsoever. Okay, so the next part of the discussion I'd like to invite you all to listen to is about disk interfaces and how they have in fact got faster over the years. So first I'd like to show you a 40-year-old computer with a floppy interface and hard drive interface, and it is here. In fact, there's 2 of them. There's a more up-to-date one, which at the time cost about $70,000, and again that's a lot in 1990. And this computer here, with a very charming princess on top, is a computer from the 1970s, about 1978 when I first assembled it. And if you'll notice, it's got a floppy drive interface, it's got another floppy drive there, and actually it's got a hard drive emulator these days, which precisely emulates the hard drive of the time. And so if we go back to the pen and paper to look at the speeds we got then and the speeds we're getting today, in 1978, we had a floppy, and it was something like 10 kilobytes per second. So that's 10 kilobit per second. In about 1980, let's call it 1981, 1982, we had a hard disk controller with a Sega interface. And at best, in practice, this is not a theory because the theoretical speed was faster, but in practice we probably could manage at about 100 kilobytes per second. And if we fast forward to 2023, which is today, we have on the SATA level, we have a 5 gigabit per second interface, which of course is 5,000 megabits per second, which is 500 megabytes per second. So, and that is 500,000 kilobytes per second. So if we look at the old hard drive actual speed, observed speed, from that computer you were just looking at, we could divide by 100, and so effectively we've got 5,000 times faster. So we've said that between 1982 and 2023, we've gone up by 5,000 times. So let's call it 40 years. We've gone up by a factor of over 100 times per year. So we've increased by a factor of 100 per year. And that's how much faster modern computers are with a SATA interface. And of course, with NVMe interfaces, we are able to achieve much faster speeds than 5,500 megabytes per second. With 2023, baby, you're enhancing this video. I think we get a lot more views now. With 2023 with NVMe interfaces, we can probably get up to, let's call it a conservative, 2,500 megabytes per sec. So we've got a factor of 5 using the latest technologies. But the point of this video is to look at SATA speeds and can we actually get up to the magical 500 megabytes per second using this fantastic adapter. Let's give it a go. In this section of the video, we're actually going to do the benchmark. We've got the adapter plugged into a Crucial MX500 SSD, a very popular and well regarded SSD, which I used as my default SSD for everything. We've started off the speed test utility, which is a favourite in the Apple world because people think it's the only test, which I shall prove wrong in a second. But anyway, let's give that a go. This is kind of a Dumbo utility because you just press the start button and we've got about 410 megabytes per second, right? You'll see it's creating a temporary file here on this test Mac directory that I previously selected, that being the name of the volume, which I called the SSD. And read speed's roughly about 345. So let me pause it there. So we've got a write speed of 415 and a read speed of 345. Let's get rid of this nonsense and let's introduce you to something a bit more powerful. That would be, I would say, the Electric Light Company, who have much more sophisticated software, and I would recommend you scoodle down, and we have already installed a utility called Stibium. So that's alternative benchmarking software. So this is not for script kiddies. This is a bit more involved. And I'm going to go to a window. I'm going to start up Mr. Stibium. And let's see if I can start it up. Okay, so bring that window in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use verbose mode. I'm going to switch off the caching. I'm going to attempt to ask for 100, so 1 gigabyte files. I've not seen that work particularly well. I believe it does 14 files, and you can increase the number of repeats here. There's other options. You can write a single file, you can read a single file, you can write a series of files, and you can select randomized sizes in particular. We are just going to try the write and read button here, and we're going to look at the output here, and we're going to look at the speeds here. So 3, 2, 1, go. It's going to ask me where to put that. I'm going to select that disk. It creates files. Now, the system is so busy at this point, it's basically hung. It really is resource intensive. And Mr. Beach Ball is spinning, and yeah, the Mac is pretty much paralysed while this test is running. It has finished. So we've got the type, whether it's a read or a write. We've got the size, and we have got the time taken and the rate. So if I bring that in a bit here, messing over the note. No, yes, no, yeah, Apple. Right, we will see that we have got. Still messed it up. Hang on, come on, you can do it. There you go. So it's made a set of files here, up to 2 gigabytes in size, and you can see that here as well. That's the 1 gigabyte. That's the 2 gigabyte, and we're scrolling down to the absolute more detailed information here. So the test path is /volume/test Mac. To reveal what Mac menu we're using. It's a Mac Pro, M2 Pro, and you can see that the speeds it's come up with here are revealed in more detail here. But the headline figures are write of 429 megabytes per second and a read of 367. So pretty close to the Blackmagic figures. And that is the Mac speed using this wonderful interface that's available from Amazon. So to remind you, it's the Wavlink USB-C hard disk interface, and we're going to leave it there. Okay, in this last part we've connected the Wavlink USB-C to SATA controller to the same crucial 2 terabyte drive. We've connected it to a powerful Windows laptop. We're running HDTube Pro 5.7, I guess, which is the sort of industry standard, I would say, Windows program. We can see a lot more information under Windows, of course, including the firmware version of the drive, the capacity, and all its features. And I'm going to go to the benchmark. Well, we'll also look at the health as well. So you can see this is a relatively new drive. It's been powered on for 831 hours, which isn't that much, in fact. Let's go to benchmarks, and I'm going to do another read benchmark just to show you. I'm sounding a bit grimaced because the speeds are not what I would have hoped for. So we can see we're getting a speed of maximum about 190 megabytes per second, which is much slower than the Apple platform. Give that a stop, and we're going to try a write test. So we won't do that just at the moment, shall we? We'll just look for extra tests here, and we'll try a few other tests. So as you can see, we really have got some much slower speeds, although we have got much more involved GUI results. We should be able to go into disk management, and we will see we've got this test win partition here. I might be able to just remove that from, rather than using disk part. Do that, close that down, go back to benchmark, make sure we've got that drive selected, do a write, do a start, run write test. It still thinks that we've got partitions, so we're gonna quit the program. We're gonna try HD Tune Pro again. We are gonna wait for it to start. We're gonna do benchmark. We're gonna select the right drive. We have got the right drive. We're gonna do write, and we're gonna do start. We do want to run the write test, and we're gonna go no. The results are not going to get any better than that. So we can show you that under the Windows platform, the same drive with the same adapter, we're getting, well, let's call it 180 megabytes per second. On the Apple platform, we were getting over 300, up to about 400 for a write. So I will give it to Apple in terms of the software programs to do the benchmarking, but the actual results of the benchmarking, I'm going to hand it to Apple. It was a lot faster using this Wavlink adapter. I would say that I do recommend this adapter. It's very small. It costs about £20 from Amazon, and it's performed pretty well under both Windows and Apple macOS. So yes, it's a thumbs up for the Wavlink USB-C to SATA disk adapter.